He doesn't really need mom. He doesn't care. Like,
Do you want to?
sure. Yeah, he'll definitely play with that.
We'll see. I'll keep going to do it and then just say that.
So now again, you guys, feel free to move around and do.
Let me come closer.
Oh yeah, as long as he's
As long as
good
he's
with
in
it. But I think he's fine with it.
Oh yeah, he's fine with it.
And this, you do it.
So like I said, I start working this from any directions. I'm looking to see if I see rotation through the pelvis. I know. Rotation through the knee. Now I'm going just nice and slow to see if I can get that again. I like it in different midline points. I look at the knees, back. Now this again is not necessary for the assessment. It's just added information. Midline in the knees, trochanters, back of heels, elbows, sternum. So nice light rotation would be again where you can start to see where the side sitting would be there in the system, but it's going to need to be worked with. So see, I can't bring the heel that's having a little bit of an issue crossing midline. So side sitting for him on this side would be a little bit difficult. So same thing with the foot. So now you can see too, see where he's stabilizing the foot to look over to the side. So I would need more foot rotation with him. And I'm going to go underneath this side of the pelvis. And again, just make note of what you see, what you don't see. Now this knee, I'm not getting the side sitting much at all. But again, everything that I'm saying, I'm already going to be working on changing it. That's where this is going to be a little bit different, where you're going to see the assessment, and then he's going to get a lesson. And the ankles. So now he's waiting, he's trying to do what he can. This is also another big thing. He's a very alert little bugger. You know what I mean? And that's where that throws people. Again, even though he's looking at Joanne and doing that, I still can assess the rotation off of the shoulder from this point of view. Now, too, he's getting into the crease of the table, so that might affect the way he's doing. So I'll just move him over just a little bit, just so there's no confusion with all of that. But you can see where he's already starting to stabilize. So instead of countering with this foot, he's countering with both feet over to the side, right? Even though he's playing with a toy, I can look at, again, wrist rotation. And I'm going to show you both ways of doing it, but see? Now, see where I'm bringing, that's too much stimulation off of the C7, but I'm just still looking for the rotation through all of this and through back of head.
The shoulder rotation you did was with two hands or with one?
I did it with one, but I had them both there at the same time. So I didn't do right, left.
Yeah.
But again, if you're just
It
novice
just looked
working
like
with
this,
the
and I was
screws.
like, I didn't think this
Yeah.
was that. Regular one.
So see, you can see what I was talking about with the chest midline, where that's where I'd want to go after. See, because he wants to come now center line. Hi, I have you. Now, since he probably look at when I look at you guys than at me, what I'm going to do is turn him around. Because I want to start working with his head actually first.
Oh, check that out. That was a strong guy.
So now, one of the things is as you can see too, which is because he's older, his head's starting to present in the back, and one of the things that needs to be done with the head. Hi.
Sit in.
Yeah, I know. You have to know.
He wants to see everything.
Now you have to watch with some babies. I don't necessarily work with the head on the first date. He's just got a really sweet soul, and I don't have a problem with that. But some babies, especially if they've had a rough NICU stay, that's intimate with them, and then you might want to have to back away a bit. Puppy pants. Hello. Hi. And now I'm just going to start working with the chest a little bit. Now what I'm doing here is just a light rotation. Again, what I'm looking for is a lot. To see again, to do any of these movements change within him. See again right there, a little bit of a counter change. I know.
No, we didn't see it. I'm sorry.
So the intelligence is all there. It's just helping release. I mean, there's no.
Look at him.
So now I'm going to come under, now that the sternum's moved just a little bit, and just see if I can just see how I'm just starting to synchronize all these little movements. Hi. That's it. There. See?
There it goes.
But again, that's just, that switch is just crossing that sternum with the midline.
So easy.
Gosh darn, this is fun.
Ah, yes. What's that do? What's happening?
So now, even though he's looking off to this side, just to show you what it looks like on the other side. So that's a little bit more. Right. There we go. See now how the sternum now starting to float over. That's it.
See, he's already
now?
lifting this
Yeah.
knee.
Yeah. I know, but also the legs aren't having to be out to stabilize. See, there, the counter.
Got you.
There we go. See, now he's starting to. I know. Here. So now I'm going around his spine right now. It's just like turning a piano, but a light rotation. See, look at now he's counter twisting through the chest cavity. I'm just keeping him successful. I know. Yeah, hi there. And that's a great position. Now that his sternum's moved a bit more, now I can start working a little bit with that shoulder rotation. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. There we go. So see how nice little counter through the shoulders.
You want to see the counter?
Oh, everything, yeah.
Oh.
See, I'm just into the shoulder, just doing that rotation. Okay, now he's almost starting to roll over on his own. But see, he's not counterbalancing through the spine in this position. So I just let him hang out. Try to work on that sternum a little bit more.
There we go.
And now I'm just countering back a sacrum, getting a nice twist to the chest cavity, getting right in the face. As he gets a bit more adventurous, maybe I'll switch sides with him, get butt first again so I can save myself with the tweeze. Hi. I know.
This is so damn exciting.
You having fun? Hi. See the difference between the counter through the shoulders versus counter here. I'm just doing this light little rotation. There we go, but the head's helping. I know. But see, that's what he can do successfully, is shake his head. So he's just enjoying the movement. That's it. But see how I'm like a toy. That's it. There we go, shoulder rotation. See? Holly, if you have any questions. I'm just saying. I'll take care of all the babies. Now see, even though he's starting to lift this way, notice how I'm just, see then the feet come down. He really can't keep it contracted just like I did with your arms.
Say that again?
See, if I just lifted his head like this, oh, now he's not doing it. But before he was going straight, contracting the feet, I know.
That's so cute.
Do you see how this is just like, this is fun for these guys?
Yeah.
This is why I had you guys in the pool, so you guys can feel this movement again. But this is where movement comes from. If you really, to understand this, your whole world's going to open up. This is the only thing is though that they're babies. I'll do it maybe with you guys to feel a before and after. Just with, it's not a great idea to necessarily play past the baby before.
No. Way too much to me.
Well, germs. So now I'm going to spin him. He doesn't even need his toys, but.
No. He's happy.
So now see how he's balancing, working on his eyes?
Here comes right here.
She's not gonna take it.
Well, no, is April pretty? Did you just want her closer? Is that what it was? And see, there I am. Just one of those counter rotations. Now, he's a baby. They'll get pretty hungry with this work. So even though they might say, oh, he just fed, by all means, Holly, if you feel he needs a top off. See what I'm doing here now is see I'm rotating into the pelvis, allowing that couch to come over. But I don't like when babies cry on my table. So. Oh, no. Okay, did you want to go over? Now see here, this is a head lift. So I'm right there just to keep your
Big boy, good job. Big boy, good job. Yeah, you showed I did it.
Is that the first time he's done that?
No.
Yeah, he rolls over. Yeah.
But he was chopping himself in a different way.
But I'm just
That's what I wanted. It didn't want to be on his side.
just looking to rotate now through the
Yes, you're a big
SI,
boy.
through the hips. See, if any of you are into patterning, this is not the child to just start doing that with. To not have a good assessment of what you're working with and then trying to get a child to do something.
No. Yes, you're doing a good job. So how do you do that?
So I'm just in here underneath rotating
While you rotate that.
counter rotating to the side. Can you just lift my camera just a little bit higher from the back?
So
just
this-
lift it up.
Here.
Tilted
No,
down.
Tilt it down? Okay.
Tilt down or up?
Front down.
There we go. Down. You want to go this way?
Actually, then drop it. Flip it back so you can see it. Yeah.
Okay.
He's just coming out of the
So
picture.
which way is this hand pushing?
Counter rotate.
That's right.
But I'll be showing you that more with my dog.
On the side.
Doing okay. Oh, shit. Can
Is
you
he
get a
hungry?
bobber?
You can have whatever.
Okay. It's so good. It's so good.
Just trying to rock through his pelvis. You can see the straddle, try and put him in. He's fine. He's fine. How'd you get it with his name on it?
Huh?
How'd you get it with his name on it? This is Paul's pacifier.
Yeah, well, we go to daycare, so everything has to be labeled.
So see how you can come back and look to see how, again, crossing midline with the knee or rotation changes. It's really more whatever's going on through the right hip. It's just giving him a bit more conversation to his movement that's needed. So I'm just... See how I counter rotate through the pelvis, all those things that you see. But nothing's forced, nothing. Literally, I'm just...
I think he's happy that he
Yeah.
would be happy. So while you're doing that, what are you looking for?
His inner rotations, his ability to rotate. He's still just catching on his inner groin here, his abductors. Just again, just a minor conversation. There we go. So see,
Now you want spontaneous movement?
spontaneous movement, but just that he, again, if I touch, just like I'm touching his mom, she's going to react to my touch. That's, by the way, my touch that I'm using, right?
Yeah.
So see how her hand's coming to the table? So once I have that, then I just offer her maybe a little counter rotation. So she's starting to get that whole symmetry going through her system, but also just that organization.
Can you explain what you mean by counter rotation? Because I can't see that in your hands, that
Okay.
you're counter rotating stuff.
So even just the way you're standing there, you're constantly counterbalancing. You're going off your left foot to your right foot. So,
Okay, so we're counterbalancing or counter rotating?
or both. You can't counterbalance without the rotation.
Without the counter rotation, is that what you're saying?
Right.
Okay, so
As a baby, as an adult, yes, I can counter just like this. I can do, it's a matured response. I can do a lift load. But if you look at him as a baby, see, no matter what touch I do to him.
I guess what my question is,
Right.
like, I guess my definition of counter rotation, I don't know, it might be different, but I can't see what both of your
Yeah.
hands are
Okay.
doing. So are you rotating
One way and then the other, like this?
That's-
I'm always in a
That's
counter.
counter.
No, I'm not in a twist. That is a version of it that, so you're not gonna see me twist in this way.
Oh, okay.
I'm doing, so as he's going around, so even just his bum on the table is going to counter rotate within my moves.
So one hand
So
is
you go
moving,
forward and back, is that what
and
you're
the
saying?
other hand is moving counter.
Right,
That's what she means by the counter. One hand moves,
Oh.
and the other hand
So
is
the two
Like
hands
this.
are
right, right.
Like
Just
working
like
his
you're
hands.
holding a
in
ball.
the same direction.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I didn't understand, because that's not how I would
So
describe it.
it's
In my head,
it's
my
helping
counter
the
is this.
same movement.
Correct.
Okay.
And keep my hands up.
I'd always thought it was a twister kind of thing.
Oh, yes.
One body part one way and the other thing
It's
the
just
other.
a transferring from
Well,
one
a
place
twist
to the
can
other.
happen, like if he goes to,
His neck can counter.
he can roll over, let's say. So a twist can happen. So yes, there are twisting rotations, but with the hand movements that I'm doing at the moment with him, is I'm just looking for a counter rotation within my hands. Now, as I do that,
That's the
see
difference.
his spine is twisting, his arms are twisting,
So
the way
he's
he's playing
twisted.
with counter. Oh, absolutely. Well, that's a healthy nervous system.
Oh,
He's
you
set
did.
up well. Yeah, I know.
He's not happy.
Thank you. So sorry.
No, first he had it, now we have it.
He's so good.
Okay, let's go
How much
on.
he loves his mom.
Oh, there is?
Okay. Another top.
Oh, I think it's good. Oh, that feels much better. That's much better. All's good
So
now.
now I can go up and start working with his belly.
Look at that fly.
They follow the shot. City fly.
So there's also a nice balance point in the pelvis. One of the things you will look for later on, or you'll see, again, this is just a side note, not necessarily part of the assessment, is babies shouldn't feel heavy. When you go to pick them up, where people will remark saying, oh, but I know. Are you good? And I'm just looking to balance through his pelvis. And this move here is just like driving a car in a sense, and I'm just, as you can go around.
He really likes that.
Trying to fly. Yeah, that fly receptor system.
That's probably the flies at. So now the hand's down, so I'm just starting to work off of that. So I'm just working on that weight transfer, just because his hand presented. See the difference where the hand wants to float on the other side? Now it's starting to go down, but see, it's more here, whereas the left hand will present more a bit with the push. I'm just playing off the balls. A nice little move too, for those of you a bit more into the brain gym or know about it, is just here, just allowing the rotation to happen and just have that bilateral skin contact. Yeah, say hi. That's Corey. Hi, Corey.
Hi.
See, now that the other hand's down, I'm just allowing that weight transfer to happen. I'm lifting him a little bit in the pelvis just to give him a bit more impact with that, but I'm not lifting him. Now that he's here balancing, that was what I would consider a fall, but he's in the middle of the crease of a table. I'm not going to. But as he's there balancing on the one side, I'm just working on that counterbalance.
Yeah, you are.
There we go. So he's starting to.
So if you don't see this counterbalance, what would you do then?
Just you need to give him that opportunity to learn it, because you'll really see that in certain cases that, again, just this hanging out time is so crucial for a baby, but the hanging out, what actually happens is just tons of movement. So when they're asymmetrical and they go back and forth, this gives them a whole bunch of more spinal movements, weight transfer from the knees to the elbows, all those kind of things. Lots of times I'll back off just to see where they're starting to go with the assessment. But if these weight transfers need to happen before they go into a crawl, because the side to side goes back into that fold back where the babies start to balance and crawl.
Weight transfers need to happen before.
For going into crawling.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people think that the crawling is getting the child up into 4 points.
Yeah.
But if you don't weight transfer, if I move any one of my points, now I'm like a table, I'm going to face plant. So they have to actually come back over to the pelvis so the arm can, let's say, go out, or the knee can go out.
Okay.
So you'll see that.
Because I got it, Mommy? Did you get it?
Now you can crawl. Do it. Do it.
Did she get it? Yeah.
So notice if I'm trying to bring him over more to his right side, it's not as familiar as if I wanted to come over, let's say, to the left. You see how he's more available just on just minor stuff. But again, movement's mathematical. What's minor to a little guy that's like, what, 16, 18 pounds versus... Or like here, look at minor this way. So, not that he needs it, but like if they're looking at a helmet, and people go, well, a helmet's only 6 ounces. Well, I calculated a 6-ounce helmet on a 16-pound baby is equivalent to a 150-pound person wearing 5 pounds, 4 ounces.
Sure.
So how would you like to wear that for 3 to 6 months? You know, it's going to affect you. And not only that, but just the width. You know, you go to sleep with those things up now, your spinal movement, to the, you know, all of that kind of thing.
You're talking about a helmet for like
Flat head and stuff, yes.
a flat head.
Yes. We need to encourage more of that centrifugal force, just of him rolling over if you can.
You said this is like a marathon. Like
It is a marathon. I usually have people showing up and then they'll like go to water world in between lessons and I'm like, guys, please, no, like,
Right.
we're here for... So now he's having to push off.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm just letting him do it.
Oh.
So see how when I'm doing that now, this is where it's key to bring in the rotation through the sternum as you're starting to push off, because that'll allow that weight transfer and that arm to come out versus just sort of doing a turtle movement in a sense. So again, he's doing this, so I'm just going with it, But I want to just so it's there. See, I lightly rotate in through the sternum as he's trying to push through.
He's thinking.
But babies love to play with this stuff. They
What's going
really
on
do.
here?
Look how he's thinking.
Yeah.
What
Goodness.
is this?
So, but see, I'm there to make the balance, the breathing, and the heart function all successful. This is a key place too if you have a child with visual issues. Now, what's really interesting, I want to do a study on it. I've never seen nystagmus except in one case it didn't have NICU time. All the nystagmus, and I'm really curious. You know, there's a
Say
study.
that again.
The nystagmus.
Yeah.
With the nystagmus, I've only seen one case, but and then she ended up going back into the hospital, so I don't know if it counts. That didn't have NICU time. Now, nystagmus is looked at as a neurological implications, but I'm wondering, just being in the NICU box for, let's say, a prolonged period of time, like the cat study. You know how you put kittens in a box
Yeah.
with the horizontal
Critical
versus-
period.
Yeah.
What's this cat study?
Where you put kittens in a box for 8 weeks with just horizontal lines, and they're unable to see vertical. And the same thing, if you put the same amount of kittens in a vertical line, they can't see the horizontal. And I'm curious to see that if prolonged NICU time without having any kind of vantage point kind of thing in their nervous system, that's more than nystagmus, you know. Or that the child just is that neurologically impaired, they are in a NICU and it's just win-win, but,
Interesting. He's giving you such a smile.
so now I'm just trying to see if it'll give me a little bit of push here. And see, you can see the difference with that. He's trying to organize it now through his head versus if I come through here. See how this is much more spinal, and see he goes through his lower spine. But if I go on this side, see, he's just starting to give me, now notice I'm not trying to bend the leg, just allowing this to come down. All this stuff he's trying to do. I'm just trying to keep him successful. Babies want to move. But that pushing off the foot is difficult for him. But he's already changing quite fast. So now he's doing that weight shift over. Hi. So now if I can, just to show you, just from that little bit, if he'll let me, just to see, again, if I were to assess him from the beginning. So you can see how I was working with the right still, where, again, where I'm bringing the knee around the foot. But if you improve the rotation, you improve just the way he's starting to move. This is sort of like skiing, just that nice little easy counter. See now the difference now how he's rolling over and how he can counter differently through the pelvis. But I let him hang out there. Just gonna try and go where the eyes are going with him. There he goes.
It does the lateral head rising automatically.
Ah, yeah.
It's my money. And now she's coming.
So what are you doing now with the pelvis?
Right now, what I'm going to try and do is I'm trying to bring his spine back a little bit. When he was fixing his legs the way he was in the beginning, that tends to really sort of shorten the conversation in the back muscles. So it's not that I'm really stretching him. It kind of looks that way, but as he's moving, I'm just seeing if I can work on the back muscles in extension, because now the way he's kicking, which will come into play when he has to bounce back. See, right now, if I were to do it with him, see how it's sort of difficult to bring him underneath the knees. They're still not there yet. Now, again, he's only 6 months old. I'm sorry, I'm not expecting him to crawl, but I want him to be available for those when the time arises, or at least that he can push through. Sorry.
So say it again with the back extension and the foot.
So I'm just, now that he's kicking more into, see, when he's on his back and he's like holding his legs out straight, so that's gonna shorten or limit the conversation with the back muscle. Yeah, he's tensing. But, so I'm just working on, it kind of looks like I'm stretching, but I'm really just working on to free up those back muscles by just being, there we go. See how he transfers weight in the lower pelvic region, then he can bring his head up differently.
And then, aren't you also kind of stimulating Perez?
Yeah, I am. I'm doing all of it, yeah, but I'm not specifically
No,
working,
it's
yes.
just-
Oh, that's what I'm saying. If you work with this work, you will see that you're dealing with a lot of reflexes. See, now he's trying to.
You see that passing on you, and you're like, how do I get it?
But you see there, he's responding to the stimuli. He doesn't, I mean, for him to just reach out and grab the sucker. Now, if it happens, it's like, woohoo, but he can't repeat it. But I'm just giving him a little bit of. But see, now he's off on Joanne. So, I mean, the passy's out of this, and that's what a baby should be doing. She's a big baby.
Wishes she had this work when she was a baby.
Yeah, you and me both. See, now he's starting to float through here. But you'll know when this happens and stuff too. See how he's countering me? And he has a much more intricate nervous system right now. If you went to do this, let's say, at a child that was really compromised and hit the face plant, will happen. I know, I was doing too much, sorry. I'm teaching too. It's hard not to teach when you've got a baby in your hands.
Oh, yeah, you think.
I know this baby. Now that I saw it for sure. Now, I don't mind at all when babies start to explore a little bit off the table. It gives them a little bit more sense of gravity, the feet coming into position, all those kind of things. It's a nice position to work into if you're really dealing with someone that does have CP. But also what I can do is, this is what great big bellies are for, is I can actually now come in and start to play with him this way. So he gets just a feedback over pushing off. Now, this pushing off comes first with nursing. You'll see the baby's touching the mother's breast. That push off, that's when they first get that opposition to movement. So it's one of the movements that can be bypassed with bottle fed. I'm not saying, bottle feeding is bad, but again, if you have clients that are in that position, that movements need to be integrated. A child also has bilateral feeding with nursing. So they go to the right tissue as well as the left, so they get more different neck movements, head movements, feeling where the head is in space, but also to the way that the pronation, looking for a nipple. They don't have that experience with bottle fed, especially NG2 or G2 babies. They don't get any of these developmental movement patterns. But what I think is really interesting is that with nurse babies too, they're twisted across the mother's stomach. So their organ gets much more of that counter rotation and digestion. So that's why I think that breastfed babies aren't as constipated. Let's say it's bottle-fed babies. It's not necessarily just due to the formula, but due to the fact that they're laying on their backs, more so digesting food than twisting and working on digesting. So it's just a more complex form of movement, which just happens to be digestion. I don't want to overdo him. I mean, he's getting a lot. And again, you can just, at any time too, with the assessment, now after your session, you can go back in and just see if if you need to note more significant changes, but.
He wants to be on his tummy.
But that headless is getting much nicer too.
Yeah.
Before he. But see, now look at how he's in the crease of the table. I can move him over if that's throwing you, but still, again, a crease of a table shouldn't throw off an infant.
Yeah.
You'll see, a nervous system again. That's where the sensory integration disorder starts to come into play when things have to be very structured because they can't handle the.
Yeah, that's funny.
So for the plantain, he will just promote more tummy time.
Well, not only the tummy time, it's just the actual rolling. There's a lot of different things to look at just because someone's in tummy times. Now, first of all of you try this. Lift your head with your eyes and see what vision means. When a baby's actually lifting their head with their eyes, you get a very non-binocular ability for stimuli playing. You want to see the babies, actually the vision rotate this way in tummy time versus head lag. So that's where I need to have, I think, way more information. Not that just because a child's on tummy time that it's tummy time.
No, that's not it.
And also the important with tummy time, what will help with the head position too, it's more so this and this. Guess what was the easiest way to tell if a child's special needs when they're around 2? They have horizontal vision, horizontal vertical. So especially the autistic kids, you'll see this and this versus that. Yeah, mommy just bounced a check. That cheeky kind of, but they can rotate. That all comes from this kind of movement. So right now he's tired. I'm not going to go into vision work, but he's getting it with you. But see how he works the room. See this kind of things where he can tilt his head and start to see things. That's what's also going to help the head shift. He might be cooked. Because he's what, a good half hour? Yeah. Like an NG tube baby's just going to get their food this way. You know what I mean? Versus they're not reaching for anything. If we look at you and I, if we eat today at lunchtime, we go to our food, we pronate. But also for speech and language therapy, I had a feeling he might be a bit more comfortable sitting for a second.
Yeah, he likes to sit in.
Guess what? If you can't pronate, I can't blow a bubble. I can't give a kiss. I can't, do the letter B's. All the time they would tell my kid he's low tone, and I'm like, he can't move. Come over you go back here and try and blow a bubble.
When you say pronate, what are you referring to? You're
Just-
referring to this?
Yeah.
Of the,
Now, there's a lot of things that go on there.
Variation.
Coming over the pubic bone, coming over the feet, coming over the diaphragm relationship. I mean, it all depends on which way you're looking at it. But if a child, again, a nourished baby is going to be looking for breast tissue, whereas a bottle-fed baby, the bottle's going to come to them. Even if you have a bottle-fed baby, or binky even, just that little bit of a tease to let them look for it, and in a sense that rooting reflex that we talk about, to offer that. Because again, look at what it does for your palate versus being back here. Even just the rooms for tonsils and adenoids, you'll see kids with a lot more speech issues having to have their tonsils and adenoids taken out. Is it because they're all jammed up here or they're getting that fluid movement? I mean, Wait. I got it. I found it. Oh, I found it.
so his feet seem freer.
Yeah, he's not
He's
just
just
holding his
playing
legs
around.
out. But if you actually counted in 1 minute what this child's moving, not just, he lifted his hand up, he didn't. I mean, I'm talking movement. I think someone did some little Facebook thing, and she said she was in Walmart with her 2-year-old, and the child in the first 2 minutes or something like that, I got 2 stuck in my head, looked at her 84 times. She was just shocked how many times her daughter just came back to her. Wait. Whereas a child with autism, guess what? At this stage, let's say, which he doesn't have autism, I'm just saying this. One thing I'll do is, no, see this is, yeah, the autistic kids don't do this, but if he can't, you laughed and he responded. Not to say, hey, what's so funny, but a noise changed, he's responding to stimuli with rotation. But if that can't happen, and at 2 they're going, he doesn't answer me, or he doesn't, he doesn't know his name. Well, maybe he can't even look over to even, so she's gone.
Right.
Or you'll see it really prevalent in ADD kids, there's no rotation through the sternum. So with ADD kids, to me, the nipples look like eyes. So everything's within this square. So if I have to come to her, which I won't do because I have a baby here, I actually have to turn my whole body, and my chest actually has to look at you more so on my eyes. So if they drop a pencil or something, or I want to point to you, I can talk and still point to Corey, or I can come around the toilet. But an ADD child would actually have to physically move to do it. So, but an autistic child won't move to do it. And that's where you'll see very similar upper chest conversations. And you'll see these same things in Alzheimer's. Very, very, very prevalent in Alzheimer's.
So would you say a child who's bottom feed could possibly have handwriting reflex problem?
Oh, absolutely. But, especially too, it could be based off of just digestive and constipation causing the lack of pubic bone movement to even come over. I mean, again, this is where if you start to study the movement of everything, that's why I don't necessarily like to say outright X marks the spot. But these are the conversations I want to start having. I like the Hawaiian study, but I want to do it where if you see deviations in movement, what's the significance of where it's going to, instead of saying, oh, a fisted baby, oh, that's not a good sign. You know what I mean? Or what kind of fisted baby?
Well, if the baby is not rotating normally, it's going from compensation.
Absolutely, just as you are. Okay, we're done. We're done.
Overall, what input do you have for me?
Okay, so overall, so this is where I can get down on the table, I can do it down on the floor, whichever is easiest to see. So when I first saw him, let's say, right, he had more where his feet wanted to present like here. Okay, so that's what I was talking about. It really shortens up your muscles and stuff. It's different than like a Pilates or whatever because you do more core work. In a baby, it's going to be more spinal work. So that's where you're going to see that head lag, and where it's hard to do with. So that's where you're starting to see where the head shape changes. So just today, of him doing this to this right now, even just with little pelvic increase versus doing this to this, changes just that whole organization. So when he first rolled over, he was much more here with the head and then came up. But now he's rolling over and it's all, again, where you're seeing the counter here with the foot versus here where he's trying to roll over this way. Does that make sense to anybody? Just a
The
basic.
hip wasn't activated.
Well, I mean, he was doing what he knew he could do. There's nothing wrong with his intelligence.
No.
It's just that he's having little good conversation things going on, and that's starting to show up. You know what I mean? So even to go when you're like this, to go to sit up, and that's where versus coming again the counter. So what I would work on right now with him, and you can do this when you're changing diapers, and I have videos for you, so I mean you're not in the dark here, is as you're changing the diapers, allow this. Because this is a huge milestone. It starts with touching the breast, feeling that opposition of forces. Now I was doing it where I had his foot so he can actually start push through this way. But when babies play with their feet, that's a pre-stand. Because they'll start learning how to oppose the two forces where their feet go this way and my head goes this way. So it's a big milestone to hit. So even right now, if you're just playing with him, Right now, I can't see my feet if I'm a baby versus being here kind of thing. But maybe put a little beadie on his feet or something like that, that he can start playing maybe with the bead first and then get to the foot where he can start doing that.
And if
then
it's just 1 foot?
both feet would be great, but
Okay.
I'm 152 pounds and 52 years old. No, I'm a bit more than that, but I will lie. But, so yeah, because what will happen here, see, and he'll start to bob his little butt. And that's another thing that starts to free up with their movements versus doing this. See, I can't free my coccyx with that. And coccyx head. So if I'm here, see, and that's where it starts maturing.
Okay.
And then Carolyn's here. She loves to play with babies, and Heidi and things like that too, where it can just, again, just a play date kind of thing. I mean, any movement you give to a baby, you're enhancing their movements. You're enhancing their cognitive skill, any movement you give them. And that's where it's not about horseback riding or playing soccer. The more experiences I have to do anything, the more I can do.
Okay.
It's just mathematical. So, that's all. I know.
Gotta have a good sleep.
Yeah, usually my tagline is like, if he doesn't go home and crash, it's not my fault. But some babies, they like, ooh, I can do this now. It's like, oh my gosh, Michelle, please. But that's rare.
So I have a question. When you initiate like the roll,
Here, let me get my baby. You can talk, I just
Wait,
wanted to.
if you've shown the brain now how to do this roll, does it keep it? Like, how long does it?
Body's a parasite. We want to do what's easiest, period, the end. I mean, this is why McDonald's is here. We want to, you know, it's probably cheaper to buy filet mignon and a grilled asparagus. It's just too much work for people. With a baby is not critical whatsoever. When they can do a movement that they're successful at, they'll just do it. There's no like, woohoo, I got this rolling thing over. There's none of that. And that's why immediately he was trying to like, oh, let's see if I can push off. I mean, like, it's not like I could say, even in those 3 seconds, come on, we're only working on this right now, because he knows me, he's starting to respond, and he's just increasing that. More and more successful he's at. Especially with the babies. The sooner you get them, the quicker they'll just start doing stuff and what he's doing. But with the, as they get older, you have a lot of things that come into play, especially with some of the kids, the abnormal calcification of the bones. And that comes from the high-tone kiddos. And that changes the bone densities, it changes your buoyancy, the femoral head, let's say, doesn't grow in the same rate. Those are the conversations that once you had those, I have to even do more movements that counter those movements to allow their nervous system to act as if they can still do the same movements, let's say, as you and I. That's why I say too, like, I'm 52, you got it. I'm 52, right? But I do certain skills. So I do karate, I do this work, and that kind of thing, right? I'm never going to be on Cirque du Soleil. Do you know what I mean? But it's the same body. Nor would I've ever been a gymnast. You know, like I had a kyphosis or whatever you want to call it. I actually was 10 pounds 6 ounces, so I was born with club feet. So I have Denison bars, the boots and the bars. So I then crawled till I was 21 months old. So I actually stand on the base of my femurs, not on my feet. My legs are crooked. That being said, since I know how to work with it, I don't have any pain, I don't have any, you know, like, that doesn't bother me. So when people say too, oh, the child's this way because of flat feet, I'm like, lady, I have like the worst flat feet. And you can work around it, it's okay. You know, some things in life you just can't change. Husbands you can change, your body no. You know what I mean? So, kids you can't. So those are the things so if I know how to do a movement, why would I want to be in pain? So if I know how to move when I'm not in pain, you know what I mean? Like, I want to move like that. So same thing with the baby. But if a baby, the reason with some babies, you just have to stay on them a little bit, because if you already have conversations that you're changing their movements, then when everything to them is a milestone. Every day of their life is a milestone. So that's why the more, even if you're just diapering the child, and you're just here, you know, and you're going, hi, sweetheart, instead of just holding them the pelvis, you know what I mean, and bringing in the straps, that same movement is turned into this nice little pelvic thing. You know, it's just such a different way of looking at the same climbing a tree kind of story. when you're bathing them, you know, just with their little washcloths and just going over the chest cavity in these light little movements versus, you know, hosing them off here and stuff. I mean, there's different ways of doing everything, but with a baby, any movement they get just from putting on the socks will affect their lives. And that being said, a newborn baby or a baby in the NICU, if I get them on day one, I've changed 100% of their life.
Wow.
If I get you 1 hour with me, I've changed, what, 6/100ths of your life, if that, you know what I mean? As far as your movements. Your glasses, you'd be surprised how much they affect all your movements. And most people have an integrated glasses. A child that has glasses early on, especially if they don't fit right, and they're constantly doing this kind of movements, what they'll start to do is actually hold their head so their eyeglasses don't fall down. Look what that does to spinal and pelvic movement, especially on top of that if you do have special needs. So, you know, again, I don't mean to say all this like, oh my gosh, you know, we're doomed. I look at it the other way. It's like, oh, this is interesting, they have this. That's why when I see kids with flip-flops and stuff, it's like,